Hi, are you disappointed or even scared, unsure, nervous about your job situation? Do you need a job or a better job or one that gives you more flexibility? If you need a proven successful way to find your next job, grab a paper and pen and get ready to learn the one thing that will get you your next satisfying job, whether this is your first job search or your 50th. Okay, imagine this scenario. You're in the middle of a job search, in the middle of a pandemic. Really not that hard to imagine, right? You need to find the right opportunity fast. So, what skills do you rely on? What if that job placement counselor in your college's career planning office was giving outdated advice? What if the advice you learned in some book back in the day is now as outdated as, well, most job search books? What if your parents' advice was great stuff for their job search 20 years ago, but isn't at all appropriate for today's reality? Most people have a hodgepodge of information about what supposedly works in finding an interesting, well-paid, challenging, and fun job, and none of that is necessarily what's working in today's fast-changing business world. What if you chose to update your knowledge of what's actually working in job searches now, rather than just Googling for advice from anybody at all? There's good information on the internet, but there's also a lot of bad. And how will you know which is which? And will you know the one thing when you see it? I'm Lynn Ann McGookie Gardner, and I spent many years as a corporate executive in banking, and then at Mattel and at Blue Cross Blue Shield, before I founded my own company so I could be a better mother to my then 9-year-old daughter. What made me think I could be successful in my own business? Well, the answer is part of it, my very successful corporate career, launching one brand that did $150 million in retail sales in its first year. Another brand did $60 million in its first 6 months, and all the promotions and pay increases I'd gotten. Part of it was my Harvard MBA and my experience learning from some of the most successful business people ever. I'll share that with you. Part of it was my side job as a university professor of business, which put me in touch with lots of young people who, to my way of thinking, were blowing it on their job searches. And part of it was that I'm a fairly talented business consultant, which is why I've been paid to help people grow their businesses in 53 countries around the world. So what does all of that have to do with job searches? Well, I've sat on both sides of the desk, interviewer and interviewee. When I was leaving Harvard Business School, I was the second youngest person in my class, and I had more job offers, 7, than anybody else I knew. I was good at interviewing. And when my corporate CEO clients started asking me to help their children conduct job searches, I brought all that experience to the effort. 100% of the people I coached found jobs in their field for good money, because they learned the one thing that makes all the difference. Transform your job search effort into a successful job finding effort and leave behind any time you're spending stuck unemployed, stuck underemployed, or just stuck on your couch. So here's the one thing you need to know. The truth is that your attitude is the biggest obstacle to your job search success. Now, don't blow that off. Underlying most unsuccessful job searches are 2 damaging beliefs. Number 1, that you can just sit behind your computer screen and fire off resumes and expect to get a great job. And number 2, that you need to convince an employer of how great you are in order to get a job. Passively joining the masses, emailing your resume, isn't a complete no-no, but it is naive to expect that your resume will even be read by a human. Let's hear it for the bots that screen many resumes out. And how good is your resume anyway? You'll need to optimize that for the bots and for the humans whose attention spans are really short now. But the real killer is in that second damaging belief. If you're thinking that you'll impress your prospective employer by sharing all the wonderful things you've done, that marvelous GPA or that award you won, or all the great volunteering you did in the community, you're likely to be disappointed. Employers don't care about you. They care about themselves, and they're thinking of making a major investment in someone. Here's how to look at this. Even if you're applying for a minimum wage job, say one pays $10 an hour, that employer's investment is $10 an hour times 40 hours a week times 50 weeks a year, or upwards of $20,000 a year, and even more if there are any benefits they have to pay for. So why should an employer invest upwards of $20,000 a year in you? Not because of your citizenship award or your GPA or your energy and enthusiasm. They invest that money because there's something about their business that is going so wrong that they will spend $20,000 to get that fixed. Now you have to find out what that problem or that pain really is. So rather than giving a litany of all the things you've done, better you should ask questions to find out why this employer would consider peeling off tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of you, to get this fixed, to get this pain gone. Knowing how to uncover that information and then how to use that to inform what you say in interviews and written communication with the employer, that's the key to job search success. Sounds simple? Maybe too simple? If you feel that way, I do understand. I felt that might be too simple a topic for my video series too, until I looked at the results and found that this one thing, this attitude change, was underlying virtually every job search success story that I've been involved in. The change is you have to abandon your desire to talk about you and learn how to ask about your employer in such a way that he or she finds it compelling to answer your questions and give you the information you need to put your candidacy for the job in the best possible context to make them want you, because they'll know that you'll make it worth their investment. A simple way to change your approach to job interviews and other get-to-know-you conversations is to research the organizations that have the job openings and come up with some questions that you might ask when the conversation takes place. And then get good at answering interview questions, a skill that involves making sure the interviewer is clear about your answer, and then turning the conversation to a question about their situation and ideally the challenge they have in their business or the challenge that they personally are facing. You know, the challenges that are so great that they'll invest thousands of dollars to deal with them. A shortcut way to check yourself is to stay aware of what percentage of an interview or even a networking type of conversation is you talking. Ideally, well less than half the speaking is being done by you. Your prospective employers should be speaking more than half the time. Can you even imagine that? And you get them to talk by asking intelligent questions. And also, when you can, noticing and commending them for what they've already accomplished. You can put that idea into practice immediately. What I just gave you is an overview of the underlying structure for job conversations that result in job offers that can change your life for the better. And now that you know what to do and how to adjust your attitude, what's the next step? You need to learn a few basic principles that'll get your job search successful despite everything. In my 10-lesson video series, Hack Your Job Search, I'll walk you through these basic principles and show you how to apply them in actual conversations. Then, if you can honestly say that the videos weren't worth your investment in them, I'll give you a full refund. Fair enough? Here's what this is. It's a series of 10 videos covering all the most important aspects of a modern job search. Here's what this will do for you. It'll give you a framework, a structure for thinking about your job conversations instead of just winging it or following some old school advice. Here's what I want you to do next. I want you to buy my video series. In the videos, we'll talk about how you can actually do this and look at some specific questions you can ask to uncover the pain and how to help an employer see you as the person who can make it all go away. I've recruited my daughter, Lindsay, who is herself a young professional, to keep me honest in the advice I'll be sharing with you. Click the I Want It button below and enroll yourself in the video series. Find the time to watch the videos and do the exercises I give you, and consider how you can implement the ideas in your own job search in a way that fits your personality. I mentioned earlier that when I was finishing up my Harvard MBA, I had more job offers than any other student I knew, and that I was the second youngest person in my class at the age of 24. And I got those 7 job offers before my advisor counseled me to stop interviewing, because according to her, I'd gotten the very best possible offer for a person with my background. It was a brand management job at Procter & Gamble, the Tide and Pringles people. Now, I never took that job, but the work I did at Mattel, launching a new brand that did $150 million in profitable sales at retail in year 1, up against a major head-to-head competitor, and then launching a second brand that did $60 million in profitable sales in its first 6 months, and then moving on to managing a partnership with American Express, and then growing the health insurance business of Blue Cross Blue Shield in Maryland, and then moving into banking and helping a bank weather the first real crisis in its entire history, and then going off on my own and sharing what I've learned in a couple of decades of building a career and turning it into a successful business enterprise, and 3 books. Think about it. Don't you want ideas from someone whose own success is broad-based and who takes the time to stay current on new learning about what's working now? Make an investment in you and your future. I'm Lynn-Ann McGookie-Gardner, and I look forward to helping you to break the logjam that slowed up your job search success so you can find a job that fits you, whether you need more money, more flexibility, better benefits, a sense that you're doing something good with your life, and work that makes you excited to get out of bed in the morning.